Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of On Point for today, the 21st day of November 2025. My name is Alexis Jeffers, and of course it is indeed my pleasure being here every Friday afternoon from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And of course there are times, like I said before, I'm not here, but persons would ask, well, what's up with you? And of course I'm not here every Friday. And when I'm not here, it must be an important reason as to why I'm not on the show. Until such time, well, we'll have situations like that. But it's always good to come. And equally so this afternoon as well. It is my pleasure being here. And so let me start by saying good afternoon to all those who are listening here on the island of Nevis, all 5 parishes. And indeed, all who are listening down there in St. Kitts. And of course, we do have a large following on the island of St. Kitts, or Sister Island. And indeed, we go further afield, Sabre, Statia, St. Bart's, French and Dutch St. Martin, of course, the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and we swing back towards the south, Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat, and down to Dominica, St. Lucia, Grenada, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, and of course, further south, Trinidad and Tobago. I miss Barbados, which is out in the east. And then you have Guyana and all of the Caribbean islands. I say good afternoon to you, especially those who are still recovering there in Jamaica. A few weeks ago, Jamaica would have had to deal with an enormous storm, Melissa, and it would have created some difficulties and challenges there. And I just hope and pray that persons there are getting the attention that they should get, and the recovery process is on its way for you, and so that you can get your life back together again. It won't be easy, and it's never easy recovering from any natural disaster, because it can be so devastating that you're thrown way back from where you once came. But continue to hope and pray, and hopefully, from my standpoint, that the authorities are doing what is necessary to ensure that assistance is provided to those who are in need. That being the case, we still continue to pray and hope for the best for the entire country of Jamaica. And of course, up north, the United States, from South Florida all the way up to those northern small states of New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont, and so forth. And come back to New York, we do have a large following and a large St. Kitts and Nevis population there in New York, as it is throughout the entire United States. And of course, over on the western flank of the United States, California, Oregon, and Washington State, we do have quite a number of nationals there as well too. And of course, the whole of Canada, especially the cities of Toronto, Ontario, Montreal, Quebec, and I love to call this particular province Saskatchewan, over there in the, call it the Northwest, yeah? I say good morning, good afternoon, good day, whatever the circumstances are there in Canada. I welcome all of you as listeners. And while I'm in Canada, let me say good afternoon to Hugh and Mabel Jeffers there in Canada. You crossed my mind earlier today, so I say I'll mention you as I get on the show, and hope all is well with you and all of the other listeners who are from Nevis, who are living there in Canada. I say good afternoon and good morning once again, and I hope all is well and the Lord is blessing you at this time. Go up to Europe now, the United Kingdom, and also into France, Germany, Switzerland, Denmark, whole of Europe. We have, even if it's one of our citizens is living, I'm sure, in all of those European countries. I'm sure even in Russia we have persons living there. I've been to Finland, and don't know if we have anyone there from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, but a beautiful country, Finland. Of course, I want to say good morning to all those who are listening there in Asia, especially in the Republic of China, Taiwan, with whom we have diplomatic ties for the last 40 plus years, and a very good relationship as well. I want to say good morning to our students who are there, or any of our nationals who are working on and living there. I say good morning to you. It certainly, it is We are eternally grateful for you to stay up at this time of the morning. It's Saturday morning there in Taiwan to listen to this show. And if you haven't stayed up, then of course you'll get a chance to listen it on perhaps on YouTube or Facebook at a later date, because these shows are archived for your listening and viewing pleasure. So we have done our greetings there. Let's come back to to Nevis, and let's see. Most times we have a format that we stick to, and we'll do that this afternoon as well. And so at this point in time, I want to express sympathies to any of our nationals or citizens who are in the bereaved column at this point in time. We know from time to time we will lose a loved one. That is the reality of life, and it goes without saying. And so if that is the case with you and your family today, I want to express sympathies to you and say to you that we cannot say we know how you feel, but we understand the difficulties that comes with losing a loved one. And so we want to say, may the good Lord continue to bless you and your family. May provide all of the comfort that you'll need to go through these difficult times. And so we are praying and hoping for you that all will work out well. And as a Vision public, we generally would go out and lend our support to the grieving family when the funeral services are held. And so I'm saying from these microphones to everyone who can lend their support to anyone out there who are grieving and who would have a homegoing service at any point over the next couple of days, couple of weeks, or whatever the case might be, go out and support. The family will certainly appreciate that. And if you're in the hospital at this time, or you're not feeling well at this point in time, I pray for a speedy recovery, and so that you can be back on your feet again to provide the necessary support that is needed in this island to build these communities. And so I pray that you'll be well again soon, and just be patient though, and ensure that you do what is necessary to heal yourself. Yeah, okay. Let's move on from there. Before I go on though, I look at the calendar today and I realize that we are just about a month away from Christmas. I'm not so sure if we've been paying attention, but time is slipping by quickly. Christmas is in the air. I've heard some carols, Christmas carols that is, thus far this year, and it has brought in that, nostalgic feeling of knowing that Christmas is in the air when we, well, of course, we'll have different type of dishes and, visit friends and families, and of course friends and families will be coming home to Nevis to spend some time with us for Christmas. So the festive time is upon us. I want us to continue to be safe and ensure that we're taking care of ourselves and ensuring that we are around well after the festive time is done. But I just thought I'll mention that because time is really slipping by quickly. This is now the almost the end of November, and indeed we're heading into December next week or the week after. So time is going by quickly. Okay, so birthday greetings. Yes, we have a few names here, so let me have a look at who we have on our list. And the first person on our list who is celebrating today is my neighbor and friend and family as well over there in Butler's, Alexis Jeffers. Roslyn, good afternoon and happy birthday to you. I wish you all the best for today. You know how to celebrate, I'm sure. You have done so for a number of years, so you just continue to do what you have done in the past. And if you want to push it up a notch, well, do that. But be safe about it and enjoy yourself. And of course, a good friend of mine here in Bath Village, Madeline Tuit, initially, she's from Montserrat, yeah, but I've known her for some time. I just saw her name and I just thought that I'll express birthday greetings to you, Madeline. All the best to you. May God continue to bless you. And then over there in Shaw's Road, Newcastle, Venetia Gums, that is the daughter of my good friend Edmund Gums and Leah Gums. She's celebrating today. Venetia is a teacher there at the Gingerland Secondary School, so she's celebrating today. She's young, so she would know how to celebrate as well. Go on out and have something to eat and to drink. Venetia, enjoy your birthday and make the best of it. Of course, Negrita, your cousin Amaral made sure that I put your name on the list today to express birthday greetings to you, and also Felisa Sutton. Felisa is up there in New York, but Felisa is actually from Brickell initially. She was born and raised in Brickell and then migrated to New York. So, Felisa, if you're listening up in New York, Amaral sends her love to you. She's sending all of her love. I don't know what love would be left in Nevis when she sent all of it up there to you in New York. But anyway, I suppose Amaral has a fountain of love that keeps springing, yeah? So, happy birthday to both you and Negrita, coming from Amaral and from myself as well too. And I have a good friend up there in New York, Rochelle, who is celebrating. I won't even describe or explain who Rochelle is, but if Rochelle is listening, happy birthday to you, Rochelle, and may you have a wonderful time today. And anyone else who is celebrating today, I want to express birthday greetings to you. And as I've always said in the past, and I continue to say, that whatever you do, spend as much as you can on yourself. And celebrate as if it is the last birthday you're celebrating, but you're wished many, many more years of celebration. Now, tomorrow, one of my friends over there in Newcastle will be celebrating her birthday, Noreen Rowland. Noreen, happy birthday to you in advance, and of course, I say the same thing to you. Go on out and enjoy your birthday tomorrow. And then, of course, Sunday, we have a few persons who are celebrating. Just want to say happy birthday in advance to Colin Dorr, permanent secretary in the Ministry of Finance down there. We interact on a regular basis, and he's someone who I've known for a long time. So we've been around this joint for a long time, so I know him very well. Happy birthday in advance, Colin, and enjoy your birthday on Sunday, along with Michelle Libert Rollins as well, permanent secretary there at the Ministry of Social Development et al. And of course, on Monday, I want to jump the Monday, and there's a reason why, because my good friend up there in Florida, Roy Pepe Wallace, is celebrating on Monday. Pepe, have a wonderful birthday. And listen, I don't even have to say what you must do and what you don't do. I think you know exactly what to do when it comes to your birthday, so enjoy it and be safe about it. Kyle Pemberton over there in Mount Lily, a good friend of mine, they is celebrating on Monday as well too. Happy birthday to you, Kyle, in advance. And then on Tuesday of this past week, I wasn't here on Friday of last week, but I wanted to mention this. This past Tuesday, the 18th, was the birthday of my very, very good friend up there in Boston, Veronica Brown. I had her on my list to mention last week, but unfortunately I wasn't here. But listen, Veronica, when your birthday falls on the 18th of November, you celebrate until the end of the month, so you have the rest of the month to celebrate. So I'm not late. I'm late for the 18th, but I'm not late for the rest days in this month. So I hope you had a wonderful day on Tuesday, and I'm equally hoping that you'll enjoy the rest of the month. So happy birthday, belated birthday to you, Veronica. And of course, next Tuesday, let me knock my table, because I'll celebrate my birthday on Tuesday. And like I said, I always love to enjoy my birthday, so I'm going to enjoy this one on Tuesday. And I want to say birthday greetings in advance to my cousin and good friend from Brickell, Alexis Jeffers. She's born on the same day, so I normally recognize her. And also my good friend Claude Cocky Nisbet, same day. He's celebrating as well. So some good people are celebrating on the 25th of November. And I also want to mention Monicia Clark. She lives up there in the Cedarview Housing Development. She's celebrating on Tuesday as well. And, well, this person, I'm going to mention her name. We were very good friends in the past. I've lost touch. But anyway, Sonia Griffin. Sonia Neal now, she's now married, but I remember in the past we used to celebrate our birthday day in Brickell, drink a Bryson and eat a piece of cake and so forth. You know, that was a long time ago. So we celebrated together because she's born on the 25th of November as well. And of course, my neighbor and good friend there, Jonelle Wilkin, will be celebrating on the 26th. So I went through a whole list of persons, yeah? It's good to recognize persons and so forth who are celebrating, because these days, birthdays are very precious. You're here today, gone tomorrow, or here this minute, gone this minute. So that is why we place significant emphasis on birthdays. So enjoy, all of you, as I will do as well, with God's blessings and everything. But be safe about it. and we're hoping that you'll live to see many, many more years of celebration. In terms of the weather, quickly, I realize that there are no significant system or cyclone system out there in the Atlantic. We're still in the hurricane season. We're pretty much 9 days away from the end of the month, thereabout, and we're praying and hoping that we don't have any significant weather system to deal with between now and then, or for the rest of the year for that matter. Well, how about saying that we hope that we don't have to deal with anything else again ever? But that's not possible, because the weather can change on us any minute and any hour, and with the circumstances that we're facing these days, climate change and all sorts of phenomena out there, then you would expect things to happen from time to time. But so far so good with this hurricane season, and I'm happy that all people would have made the necessary preparation, even though we didn't have to confront any major disaster or any major situation. We still would have done what we had to do, and of course we're coming out on the end of this one unscathed, so to speak, and so I'm hoping it continues that way until the end of the season and until the end of the year as well. Just by way of a little public service announcement for now, the VOJN Parent Teachers Association, sorry, I apologize, are having a Thanksgiving barbecue over there in the vicinity of Nisbet Plantation, just opposite the Newcastle Pottery. They're having that at this present time. So if you're on the road and you're listening, make it your business to stop by. The tent is there at the side of the road, and the folks should be there already, because I believe it started somewhere around midday, I believe, and it goes down until later this afternoon. But go and patronize, because the money that they're raising there will go towards efforts to enhance the VOJN primary school in some way, whether it's in academia, whether it's in sports, whether it's a social event, whatever the case might be. Your contribution will be used most wisely and effectively at the school. So go on out and give them your support. I was hoping to have folks from the Links promotion today to speak about their event coming up next Saturday, so I'm hoping still that they'll find themselves here to publicize their pork and beer festival, which is coming up next Saturday. So the appeal is out there to you guys to come and let your voice heard. I've been doing it for the last almost 2 months, so hey, I've done my tour of duty on that one. So you come on out and the microphones are available to you. Okay. Today is World Fisheries Day, and that is why I would have worn this blue shirt. I think today it is said, or persons are encouraged to wear blue, and today is the day where we celebrate our fisher folks and persons in the marine sector, in terms of recognizing them for their exploits and effort to feed our people. We know the difficulties and the challenges that comes with the sector, but of course they play an integral part in our overall development and our overall food security, and also our food systems are impacted by persons who are in this sector, and so they are important to our well-being, and so we want to recognize them today. I'm not sure what is being held today in terms of an activity. I know normally the Fisherman's Corp down there in Charlestown will have perhaps a grill fest or something on a day like this, but I'm not sure if there's something being held. But of course today is World Fisheries Day, and so I want to congratulate all of our fisher folks, commend them, and implore them to continue to press on with their trade, because your trade is impactful in many ways, and in spite of and despite of the challenges, you still continue to go out on the ocean on a daily basis, weekly basis, to harvest fish so that all folks can be fed, and we thank you for that. So whatever is being done, kindly go and support all of our fisher folks. Yeah, okay, good. Moving right along. Earlier this week, Wednesday, was International Men's Day. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because I believe in the past I may have overlooked this particular day. But from the administration standpoint, I believe the minister responsible would have done a message for the day. And indeed, there are various activities that were held on that day, and various activities that are still to be held this week and perhaps next week as well. So even though it's International Men's Day on the 19th of November, then of course there are other days leading up and after that date that are important. And of course, whatever we do as men and boys, of course, it's important to the overall development of our communities. And of course, we celebrate our men and boys, and there are lots of things that can be said about our men. There are a lot of things that can be said about our boys, negative things that is, but of course there are positive things out there being done by our men and boys. And of course we have had significant achievements and have contributed to the development and building of this nation as well. And so we'll continue to do so. Our communities need us, our families need us, and of course, well, we're needed. Without men, where would this place be? And so we hear from the different genders. You hear, Women's Day or anything to do with the women gender, and then you hear about the male. So everybody's trying to create their own space. But when it's all said and done, you bring everyone together, and we're all one as a people working towards a common goal, and that is to make life better for all of us and for our families. And so the men have their role to play, the women have their role to play, but there are particular times of the year when each gender is recognized. But I just want to say quickly, though, because I've seen some statistics in recent times. This may not apply to St. Kitts and Nevis, but it is certainly, or these are certainly alarming statistics that says that we have a lot of work to do as men. And also, well, not so much as boys, but we as men have a lot of work to do to ensure that we are nurturing our boys to bring them to the standard where there will be contributors, are not necessarily a deterrent to progress in the island or in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And so throughout the world, and there have been some statistics that I've been looking at that suggest to me that we have a lot of work to do, and our men certainly can rise above some of these challenges, but it takes a certain mindset and it takes some action on our part as men to ensure that these numbers that we are seeing, for example, for suicide, homelessness, and homicide victims and domestic abuse and so forth, they are alarming numbers. For example, we are showing here 76% of suicide that are committed are by men. If that is the case, that is alarming to me for sure. And 85% of homeless persons out there are men. 70% of homicide victims are men. 40% of domestic abuse victims are men. So these numbers, in my opinion, are significant numbers, and I'm hoping that the source I got these from is a reputable source. But I would say that if they are indeed real numbers, then we have a lot of work to do. And it suggests to me that men are the majority victims of violent crime, and men are, on average serve over 64% of men serve longer prison sentence term than women. Well, that number should be much lower than that, because there should be no competition between men and women when it comes to imprisonment. So that is why I say these numbers. I really would like to say to our men out there, all of our men, that the circumstances that you're facing today can be changed with just the change of your mindset, change of your action, and of course embracing what is the right thing to do. It is always good to do the right thing because it's the only thing to do. And so if you do the right thing, and we all do the right thing collectively, then these numbers, I believe, should start diminishing quickly, because we know what to do. as men. And I want us all to galvanize our effort and tell ourselves we will do better as men and as boys. I just wanted to put in that plug as I move along from that topic into another topic. But there are good things happening in our communities, and of course, when you look at the crime rate that we were confronted with the years past, in terms of the murder rate, for example, we have seen a significant improvement in that, and we want it to continue to improve further, where there are zero murders taking place in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Back in the early 90s, we were considered the what we were called a crime-free country. I think that's what we were called back then. We can get back to there where we have zero murders in this place, because you ask yourself the question, well, what's the use and what it's all about? Why would you take someone's life? You know, life can be difficult, challenging, yes, but life is also sweet, as they say. As challenging as it is, you know, we still love life, and we want to live life, and I want you to live life. I want all of us to live life. So let us think that way, yeah? Okay, moving right along. Last night we went across to St. Kitts. We had a special sitting of the Federal Parliament, and that was to recognize the 25 most remarkable teens here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. It was scheduled to start at 6:30. Got going sometime after 7, and I mentioned the time that we are starting this parliamentary sitting. I will say congratulations to all of the parents and all of the students, not students, but young persons who came, because they were all there early, very early. And well, I got there early as well, along with my colleague Latoya Jones, and we were there well in advance of 6:30. But you know, it was certainly not nice having persons sitting around up until somewhere around 7:15, 7:20 thereabout, when Parliament got started. I keep talking about this because, well, we journey from a long distance. I'm coming from a long distance to get on a boat to go to St. Kitts. And of course, same thing with my other colleagues, and we certainly do so in reasonable time so we can get there for the start of every Parliament. But it just seemed like the same old over and over again, and I'll keep talking about it, and I'll raise it in the Federal Parliament as well, because we have to respect, first of all, ourselves. And if we respect ourselves, we'll respect time, and we'll respect others and their time. Because if it is fine for those who will not say anything about it, well, so be it. But I do believe that it is important for us to respect persons who are waiting for a particular start in time for Parliament, which is 10 a.m. for example. In last night's case, it was 6:30 p.m. So persons are waiting, persons are anticipating, and yet still we are not starting on time, which is not good at all. And so hopefully we can do better in that regard. But anyway, towards the topic at hand and what is most important, last night 25 young persons were recognized. In the case of Nevis, out of that 25, we had 5 persons from Nevis who were recognized among those 25 most remarkable teens. And they are Nyla Taylor, she goes to the Gingerland Secondary School, Jadon Herbert, and then Nyla Taylor was recognized in the area of technology. Jadon Herbert was recognized as a scholar athlete, and Journey Hodge was recognized in the area of academics and youth activism, and then Jacori Isaac, art and creativity, and Jaden Liebert, scholar athlete as well. And I want to congratulate all 5 persons for being selected, and indeed the profile of all of the athletes, not all of the athletes, but all of the young persons who were recognized, suggests to me that they're actually doing the right things out there in the community. And the most important thing, all of them indicated that they are close to the church, and they are participant in church activities, community activities, and also are doing their best to pass on some of the teaching that they have had to their colleagues, you know, the younger persons who they interact with as well. So I must say there is what I discovered, there is a pattern of success that is consistent among all these five persons who are recognized. I also want to say that it is possibly the case out there in the community. I'm sure it is. And so even though these five persons have been recognized, there are other young persons out there who are doing just as good, but they were not recognized this time, perhaps because their names were never entered into the when the call went out for persons to submit names, their names were probably not submitted. So I want to send out the appeal that for next year, as soon as you hear that the appeal is being aired on radio, social media, or whatever the case might be, please, whether you're a community-related group and you have young persons in that group, let's say the Pathfinder, the Cadet Corps, or the Boys Brigade, Girls Brigade, Scouts, or even if it's another social group, whatever it is, and you have men, not men, boys and girls in those groups who have excelled, kindly submit their names, because the imbalance is there. You have had 20 from St. Kitts this time around, 5 from Nevis. I'm not so sure how the process work in terms of how the selection process that is work, but the more the merrier. We submit all of the names and see what happens. Not that I'm knocking him, but the Honorable Jeffrey Hanley would have said last night he had 8 from his constituency. 8. So it therefore means that from his standpoint or his constituency standpoint, there are persons or groups within that constituency who are submitting these names. So over here on the island of Nevis, all of these active groups and schools, well, all of these, or most of them, are going to school, so the school must have played a role in getting their names there. So I'm encouraging all of us to play our part to ensure that we can get these names in next year. So it's always exciting to see young people breaking new grounds and setting new standards and achieving goals. That suggests to me that we're on the right track as a country, and as an island first and foremost, and as a country in a broader sense. Yeah, and so it's important for us to continue to encourage, nurture, and lend the support to our young people, because they are certainly the future of this country and the future of this island as well. And so their continued success is certainly what we will work towards collectively. Okay, so congratulations once again to all those folks, those 5 young, aspiring young persons who have done well enough to be recognized as a part of the 25 most remarkable teens for 2025. Okay, so moving right along. We have had various conversations in the island over the last couple of weeks, a couple of months, in all areas, and it seems like this SSZ is what is occupying everybody's minds. And some people are now saying that they don't even feel like turning on their phone, because every time they turn on their phone, all they're saying is something about the SSZ, and I don't want to laugh, but I said to myself that when some persons get hold of a certain issue, it seems like they just beat it into the ground, and I suppose that is what is coming from the other side. But the information has been flowing on all sides, and let me say, at this point in time, it is encouraging, in my opinion, when you have a debate about an issue. But the discouraging part is when the debate turns into a particular direction where we begin to insult people, calling them all kind of names, calling them stooge, calling them dumb, calling them stupid, and calling them all kind of derogatory names. It is unbecoming of Nevisians, decent Nevisians, to be calling people by these names. I will say, from my standpoint as a member of the Concerned Citizens Movement, we have shun away from that. And anyone out there who are supporters of the Concerned Citizens Movement, who are engaged in calling people any derogatory name, whether on Facebook, Instagram, or X, or wherever, or on radio, I will say to you, desist from doing so. Please don't. Because you don't achieve anything by calling people derogatory names. All you do is add fuel to the fire. And it's just a whole heap of cussing down the line. So what I'm going to say to all of us is that we can have debate and discussions without being, derogatory in such nature. Just respect each other, and we can have respectable and respectful debates. And so the debate regarding this new development that is proposed for the South Coast, that has garnered a lot of attention, both here, not both here, both meaning two, but I say it has garnered attention here in Nevis, in St. Kitts, regionally, internationally. So all parts of the globe, people are talking about this particular proposed development. Some who are talking have never been to Nevis, so they don't understand the environment here in Nevis. They don't know what we're going through here in Nevis. They don't know what our desires are, but they're making their point heard. Some who are talking may want to come back to Nevis, and they're refusing to come for whatever reason. I'm encouraging all of you, come to Nevis to see what Nevis is like. Come and maybe go around to the south side as well too and see what it looks like and see what we're talking about. But anyway, put that aside. We've been hearing a lot of talk in recent times about 10,000 persons coming to Nevis. And it sounds like persons are suggesting 10,000 persons are going to come one time, all in one shot. And I believe the Premier was right. He's correct. The other night he mentioned something about Four Seasons and that development over there. And one other thing that he pointed out was the fact that Four Seasons, the real estate side of it, is on its final phase at this point in time. Final phase. And I made a visit up there as well, where they're building 8 buildings. Each building will have 10 condominiums in each building. So that's a total of 80 additional condominiums they will have a part of their real estate side and their rental program. And the truth is, Four Seasons would have started construction and opened somewhere around the 1990 thereabout. So you can say about 35 years ago, Four Seasons started that development, have been in operation since, and 35 years later, they're on to the final phase of 80 condominiums. Beautiful development, wonderful development. I went up there, and there's some massive operation and undertaking up there at Four Seasons. So we're taking a look. But persons are up there employed, yeah? So the point is, to hear about 10,000 people coming to Nevis, it almost appears that people think that 10,000 people will descend on Nevis one time. I will say for sure that when we started selling passport as a country back in 1984, I wonder if anybody thought that we would have reached to the point where 50,000 plus persons would have been out there somewhere in the world holding our passport. And 50,000 persons can someday say, I'm going home to my adopted country of St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm going home to my country of St. Kitts and Nevis, and I'll buy an acre of land. It therefore means 50,000 persons plus can come here someday and buy an acre of land. There's nothing we can do about that. Because as we have said before, and I continue to say, that there are two types of land owners in Nevis. You have the government that protects and are in control of the people's lands. That is land belonging to all of us as citizens here on Nevis. And then you have people who own land, which are private lands. And there's a distinction there. So if these 50,000 persons decide to come home tomorrow, which they can, not saying they would, but if they do, and all of them come and decide they're coming to buy land, they can buy land from the private sector, which are private persons who own land, and from the government because they're citizens. So this whole talk about 10,000 people coming to Nevis, I don't know if I want to engage too much in that, because we have all established that Nevis needs people. And whoever think otherwise, well, so be it. That is your prerogative to do. and that is your opinion to express. But when you look at what is happening throughout the world, no country can develop without people. The more persons you have, the greater the chances are of you achieving more economic development, especially if there's employment available in the country. Then you have persons coming in, working, paying their rent, paying their bills, paying their social security, buying at all business establishments, saving monies in our banks. The banks would make money off of those savings, and also the banks would then turn around and off-lend those monies and lend to the same persons who would have come here to work. So there are economic value to persons coming into any country where there are opportunities. And let me say here and now that Nevis has presented quite a number of opportunities for people to come. But back to this particular development. We know that 10,000 people will not be coming here all in one go. But when they do come, they will be adding to what we have here. Which means if you say 10,000 are going to come, 23,000 people. Let's look at some comparisons. For example, St. Martin next door, divided into French and Dutch. The Dutch side of St. Martin, St. Martin is what? 35 square miles. So you divide that into, that's about 17.5 square miles per section. French, Dutch, approximately. The Dutch side has over 44,000 persons living on the Dutch side. French side have approximately 36,000 persons living on the French side. So that is approximately, for example, on the Dutch side, maybe about 2,500 persons per square mile. On the French side, about 2,000 persons per square miles. I'm just approximating that. Yeah? For a total of, say, about almost 80,000 persons. 70-something thousand persons. On St. Martin, both French and Dutch, right next to us. Bermuda, for example, we have heard that point being made. 21,000 or 21 square miles, 21 square miles. About 63,000 persons. 63,000 persons approximately on Bermuda. That's about 3,000 persons per square miles. 3,000 persons per square miles. St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands, about 32 square miles. Approximately 45,000 persons, St. Thomas. Approximately 1,400 persons per square miles. Nevis, 13,000 persons. Approximately 36 square miles. We are saying approximately about 360 persons per square mile. 360 as against 3,000 per square miles in Bermuda. And persons might say, well, where are you going with this? Because we want Nevis to stay as it is. And I've said before that all of the businesses here on the island of Nevis could have been larger than they are, employing more than they're employing, achieving more economies of scales than they're doing. And what I mean by economies of scale, you have a fixed rate, for example, rent. For example, you're renting a building and you have it stocked out, yes? Not fully stocked, but you're stocking it based on the sales that you're getting on a daily or monthly basis. If, for example, you have that same space, paying the same rent, and can stock it to the roof, you're improving and increasing your economies of scale in that regard, because you're selling more with the fixed rent that you're paying, fixed space that you have, but you're putting in more in that space and selling more and making more. And so we go into Rams and we may see, and I use Rams sometimes, why I don't even know, I can say Best Buy too, and we see 20 people inside there, the place look full. But that might be one day, the next day you don't see anyone. But what you need to sustain a business like that and other businesses here on the island of Nevis, whether it's a bank, whether it's a restaurant, or whether it's even an entertainment spot, people. That is what you need to sustain a business, is people. And no one person can keep a business going. Not two, not three. You need multiple persons, hundreds of people, if not thousands of people to keep businesses going and growing. And so when we talk about we need more people, you know, you bring more talent to the island, more innovation, things can be seen more in a positive light as a result of that. Are there going to be negatives? Of course. And that is where administrations, whether this one or someone in the future, would have to be planning accordingly. Meaning, you'll have to make sure your healthcare is up to par or consistent with the influx of persons. You have to make sure your road infrastructure is in place. Water, energy, meaning electricity, your schools, your social programs, everything. These are things that you'll have to continue to work at. And that is why this administration continue to ensure that we have all of these infrastructure in place and make sure we continue to improve. And so when you hear the talk about fair share, for example, what happened to Nevis fair share? We have been crying and talking about that over the years. And whatever we have gotten, we have put it to good use in terms of ensuring that these infrastructure are brought up to a standard where they can be comfortable to all who live here. And we'll continue to push further along, meaning in water, for example, we have found water at various points here on the island of Nevis. There are 9 wells that we are seeking to develop here on Nevis at this present time. Therefore means that we are trying to build for the future, build out the water infrastructure for the future. Same thing that we are doing with Nevlec. You've heard talk about geothermal. I heard the Premier say that a driller has been selected, so you'll hear more about that. That is where you're trying to improve energy, electricity. And of course, we'll continue to look at long-term plans in all of these areas to ensure that when persons come, at least we are preparing for them when they come. Same thing with the airport that we're talking about as well. And I hope I get a few minutes to talk about the airport a little bit later, which time is running fast. But anyway, the whole idea of having an increase in the population, in my opinion, Nevis need people, as I said before, and I embrace that. We just have to understand that all people would have gone to various parts of the world and added to their population and added to their overall development infrastructure that they would have had and made their contribution there. And so my question is, why don't we be a bit more open-minded and understand that Nevis cannot stay the same way it is all the time? Some may say that Nevis should remain a quaint little island. Quaint little island that don't pay bills, a quaint little island that don't provide employment, a quaint little island, and what? We need people, and we need to develop the island. And that is why this proposed development is one that we are talking about, yes, all of us, and all of us are seeking to make sure that once it was to come to fruition, that it would be consistent with what the island of Nevis and the people of Nevis desires. And keep in mind, I don't care who say the majority say this or that. I don't take 1 or 2 people making noise on Facebook to be any yardstick to go by. Because out there on the street, as much as those on Facebook and radio are talking as if they have the answer and they speak for the majority, they don't. They don't speak for me. I'm here speaking for myself. And I would like to see this development come to fruition for the benefit of the island of Nevis, and whatever needs to be done to ensure that we're getting the best possible situation out of this, or an ideal situation for the island of Nevis. That is what I support. But instead of that, we hear a lot of opposition here, there, and everywhere. And I will say to those who are not familiar with the NRP party and the culture that they have, I will say to you that we are familiar with them. They were in government between 2006 and 2013 January. So it's not like they're new to Nevis. They might be new to some of you, but I'm telling you that we are familiar with the NRP. We are familiar with their culture. Culture of lies, misrepresentation, culture of, deception, all of that. And so we have heard them before when it came to Newfound. They said all manner of things about Newfound. And what they did when they got into government, they take the 21.5 million US dollars for the lands up there at Pennies, and they use it all up. You think they gave it back to Newfound? All they said in the end is that, well, that deal done. Take the money, spend it off. Ritz-Carlton, chase it out of Nevis. Ritz-Carlton, I think, went to Anguilla or somewhere. But they have satisfaction in knowing that they chase foreign developments out of Nevis. It seems as though the word foreign is not embraced or loved by the NRP. They don't like foreign direct investment. They don't like foreigners, it seems like. Because I can tell you a story, those of you who are just coming. The NRP would have rounded up a lot of what we call foreigners or non-nationals and sent them out of Nevis when they were in government. They couldn't stand you. They couldn't stand your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your uncle, your cousin, whoever it was here. Round them up. If they were living in Bath and they smell a little chicken curry or whatever they smell coming out of your kitchen, they come for you and they shut down your stove right there and put you on a bus and send you out to Nevis. And that is a fact. I'm not making up anything here. It is a fact. So when it come to foreigners, and you know, a story just came to mind, and it's not a story, it's a true fact. There was an operative for the NRP who presented himself as someone who can, you know, undertake the applications for work permits. And you know what they did? In their office there in Charlestown, fill out these applications. Took the money, went up to the Premier's ministry during the time NRP was in government, got the passport stamp, gave back the passports to these foreign nationals or these non-nationals. So the non-national went ahead after paying their money, stamping the passport, think that all is well. You know when it became a problem? In 2013 thereabout, when they came back to the Premier's ministry to seek to apply for residency, it was realized then nothing was entered into any books or any data was recorded about that particular individual or the individuals who had their passport stamp. So you were going around with a passport with a stamp. So you have a work permit and nothing to back it up in terms of record. So the monies were collected and these poor people unknowingly was up and down thinking they had a legitimate stamp in their passport. This is what they did to foreign nationals. And you saw them weep. Water came out their eyes when they realized that they didn't have the necessary or legitimate stamp in their passport. And it's a fact. And that's how they were treated. It's unfortunate, and that is why I say when it comes to foreign, I don't know. I mean, the movie industry that we brought here, Lord, it was brought here by a foreign individual. Lord, they said the most despicable things about that. Even though, at this point in time, that movie industry, in my opinion, is thriving. Right now, as we speak, there's a movie being done here, right here on location in Nevis. And then, of course, next Friday evening, I believe it is, a movie that was done here by a cousin of mine, Alexis Jeffers. Juliet, how are you? Hopefully all is well. She's coming here next week to have the world premiere of that particular movie, Pangal. And we've had multiple films that were done here in Nevis. But you know, foreign, anything foreign to the NRP. They even refused to pay foreign debts that we had. During the time CCM was there up until 2006, everything, all the time after that, period after that, I must say. They didn't pay anything. They didn't pay no money to the Kuwaiti fund. Foreign international debt. They refused to pay that foreign debt. Republic of China, Taiwan, we owe them money. Refused to pay. There's a credit union down in Trinidad, a foreign entity that would have loaned the NHLDC 10 million US dollars. The NRP refused to pay. So anything foreign. So that is why you hear them talking about we want foreigners here and beating up on foreigners and saying we're letting foreigners come in here, 10,000 foreigners. Listen, every country in this world have been developed with the help and assistance of foreigners, immigrants. As much as you see ICE up there deporting people and trampling on people or whatever they're doing in America, foreign nationals. And they would have helped to build certain sectors of the economy, especially those jobs that locals are not prepared to assume or take. they come in and they work and they provide for themselves, they provide for their families, they help with the development of the country, and they also contribute to the advancement of businesses and the establishment and growth of business as well. So why are we so opposed to such thing? Like I said, opinions can be expressed. I have mine, you have yours, and I'll respectfully express mine, and I will respectfully sit down and listen to yours, and I'll tell you how I feel, and hopefully we'll walk away with no hard feelings, because when it's all said and done, that's what we're here to do, is to have a dialogue and have a conversation that amounts to something beneficial to the island of Nevis. And that's what it's about. So if this proposed development is to come, let's look at the pros and the cons, and let's weigh them. But don't think you can come and ram something down my throat and suggest to me that it's all bad when I see a number of positives about it. People are selling lands, yes. And those persons who are selling lands have already started utilizing that money to better their lives. I can tell you that much. There are some who have monies coming and they have already started thinking about what they'll do with their money. It's their money. And kudos to them. And much respect to them as well too. Because if you hold on to that asset for the next 50 years and then you're living on the street, can't even own a decent vehicle, can't even own a house or home, what is the value of that to you? No one is saying that you should sell out your land and do nothing with your money. If you sell it and you put it to good use to even buy another piece of land from government or whomever, at least you're reinvesting. You're reinvesting in something that is beneficial to you. You're divesting, reinvesting, whatever the terms are. So you won't be any loser in the end. And I think we've gone over that over and over again. I just wanted to address the population conversation that we've been having, and to say that all of those regional or neighboring countries would have developed at our expense. All people would have gone there. Yes, they had challenges there. Yes, they were tracked down and sought out, and some were deported and went back, and whatever the case might be. Those were in the initial stages, but many have stayed and many have contributed there. Many will come and many will contribute. And what I'll say to all foreign nationals, things are much easier now under this administration. And of course we have signed on to certain conventions as well in terms of our relationship with the OECS Union and also with CARICOM. So it is not as difficult, and we welcome you. But when you come, be on your best behavior. Work hard, contribute, but ensure that you abide by the rules and the laws that we have established here in this country. I haven't even touched half of the things that I wanted to touch today, but I see my time is coming to an end. I've just, music is already in my ears. Well, thank you for giving me that signal. But let me say here and now that it is always my pleasure coming here on a Friday afternoon. Thank you for listening this afternoon. This show couldn't go on without you. I can't speak to myself, so I'm glad that you would have joined me for the conversation we had this afternoon. I want to say to you, if you go to church on a Saturday, go to church and serve your God. If you go to church on a Sunday, do likewise. Pray for the station, pray for me, pray for the entire Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. May God continue to bless all of us and make we stay safe throughout this weekend and beyond. And let us continue to be productive and hard-working citizens of this island and this federation, so that we can move this country to the next level of development, which we'll be all be proud of in the end. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy your lunch and take care. God bless.
And opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.